Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to explain to you all about the fourth lesson of your grade 7 science textbook, Functions of Water. Now, let us start off by discussing about your first subtopic, water as a solvent. So, before anything, we should know what is a solvent. A solvent is a liquid in which a solute is dissolved to form a solution. Now, I'm pretty sure not most of you all understood what this means because majority of you all, I'm pretty sure, have not heard what these terms solute, solution, solvent are. Now, let us see what these terms are. In order to identify what these terms are, let us begin by defining what is a solution. A solution is basically made when you mix something in higher amounts, which acts as the solvent, and something with lower amounts, which acts as the solute, and get a mixture in liquid state. So basically that is what a solution is. Now to understand this clearly, let us consider tea, plain tea. So when you make plain tea, you're going to take 1 cup of hot water and 2 to 3 teaspoons of tea leaves and a teaspoon or 2 of sugar. So then you're going to simply take the tea leaves and the sugar, mix it with the hot water. Now here, when you look at the amount of sugar and tea leaves, that is, you added, and the amount of water you added, you will be able to identify that the amount of water is quite high compared to the amount of tea leaves and sugar you put. So this substance, this component which you added in higher amounts is called the solvent. In the case of tea, it was hot water. The thing you added in lower amounts is known as the solute. In this example, that is going to be sugar and tea leaves. So when both were added, the solute, which was sugar and tea leaves, dissolved in the water and was distributed throughout the water evenly. So it made a mixture. And as you know, tea, especially hot tea, is liquid. That is a best example, an example we normally drink every day for a solution. Now besides that, you have coffee, milk, soft drinks, fruit juices, salt water, which you prepare in the same way. In the case of coffee, you use a little bit of coffee and some sugar and a bit of milk if it's a milk coffee, and you're going to add a considerable amount of water. So here the water again acts as the solvent because you add water in large amounts and the other substances in small amounts. Milk powder you add in small amounts, some water in high amounts. So here also it's the same. Soft drinks, you get colorings, flavorants and various other substances in small amounts and water in higher amounts. Fruit juice, salt water, it's the same. So you get a solute and a solvent which you mix together in order to form a solution. So now I'm pretty sure you all understood what is a solution, what is a solvent, and what is a solute. Okay, now keeping these things in our mind, let us move on with our lesson. Now, when y'all are playing in the sea, y'all might have noticed sometimes water goes into y'all's mouth and y'all might have noticed that it's very salty. Now, why is it so salty? When you gaze upon that area, you will notice it's completely water. Why is it salty? That is because water acts as a solvent in this instance. And then salts are dissolved in this water and they act as a solute. So that's why it's salty in taste. And then at the same time, water has the solvent property and it can dissolve substances like gases also. So you just consider fish like sharks in the sea and other fish you people eat, and also fish you find in lagoons, streams, rivers. How can they live? They can live underwater because gases are dissolved in water. The solvent property of water helps other solutes like salts and even gases like oxygen to dissolve in water. So these fish take water in through their mouth, absorbs the oxygen in the water into their respiratory system and releases the water out of their gills. How water is useful as a solvent. Now let us do a small activity to find out how water is important as a solvent. So first we are going to take a few materials which I will show y'all, and you're going to dissolve them separately in 5 milliliters of water in test tubes. So these are going to be what you're going to do. It's there in your textbooks. So y'all can take 5 milliliters of water, dissolve them, a small amount of them in this water, and make sure you use the substances like in the same amounts, okay, because sometimes the readings might differ when the amounts are also different. So you can take everything of the same amount and put them into a test tube, put 5 milliliters of water, mix them using a glass rod, and you can get your observations. Now this is a very interesting practical, so if y'all are free, I suggest y'all do it, and y'all can always do these practicals and send me y'all's results via WhatsApp. I have a WhatsApp group. Y'all can join it. The link is down in the description below. Or you can simply follow me on Instagram and send it to me if you want. Okay, so y'all are free. Y'all can always comment y'all's answers into the comment section and share these with your friends. Okay, so anyway, when you do this practical, you will be able to observe that some solids and liquids were dissolved a lot, whereas some were dissolved quite little. Okay, so now moving on. As I said earlier, gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide are soluble in water. So soluble means dissolving in water. So these fish use this oxygen in water to respire. Now, as I told you earlier, water has a solvent nature. And due to that, many things, many solutes can dissolve in this water. So, at the same time as things can dissolve in the water, we can simply separate the two things. So, we can use various separation methods like evaporation, filtration, and so many more. Now, y'all can see over here how to do these practicals. Now, first you can see evaporation. You simply use an evaporating dish, and you can put a mixture in with, say, salt solution. That means salt water basically, and you have this a gauze, a tripod, a Bunsen burner, and you can simply heat it and remove the water, and then something will deposit on the beaker in the end once all the water is evaporated. Under filtration, you can simply do it like this. So when you filter the substance, something will remain on the paper and the other thing will go into the mixture. So I'm not going to explain those things deeply because you all will be learning about this more deeply in the higher grades. So now I'm not explaining anything much. I'm just going to move to the next part of the lesson. Now let us see where water is important as a solvent. As I said earlier, it is very important to make drinks where we dissolve sugar, coloring and flavors in water. It's also used to dissolve salt and flavors to make food tasty. It's even utilized in order to dissolve concentrated acids in water to prepare battery acids, artificial vinegars and so on. And it's also used to dissolve medicine in water to make vaccines like the ones that are now being it's all over these days due to corona. Even to make those, you utilize some of these water. And saline in health field, aquatic animals use oxygen that is dissolved in water to breathe, to remove dirt on clothes and our bodies. And it's also utilized for decorations. This colored water is used for this one decoration. Okay, so this is somewhat very important. I suggest you all remember these points because that's very important. Okay, so let's keep this in our mind and move on. Now, as I told you all earlier, you dissolve some acids in water to get battery acid. Now, it's not any acid. You must dilute sulfuric acid. Okay. Now, how do you dilute sulfuric acid? You have pure acids with no water at all. That is known as concentrated acids. You simply add a bit of water and you remove its very acidic nature. You simply make it a little bit less acidic. So that is diluted sulfuric acid. So you simply add a bit of water to concentrated sulfuric acid and you get diluted sulfuric acid, which is battery acid. Okay. So at the same time, you have various artificial vinegars. So by that I mean you must have seen some people have red vinegar, white vinegar, so many vinegars. So that, how do you prepare those? You simply dissolve acetic acid in water. Now at the same time, you have various saline solutions. They are diluting sodium chloride solution to standard concentrations. So these are some things that you all might learn in higher grades, or if you all are interested, you all can do some research on other websites and find out. It's really interesting. Okay, so you all can find out more details using other sources. Now we are going to see dissolved in water. We are going to see the uses of separating materials dissolved in water. So basically you're going to need some salt solution, a spirit lamp, a candle, a lid of a tin. So then you're going to take some salt solution onto the lid of the tin. You're going to keep it on a tripod and then you're going to light the spirit lamp underneath the tripod, and then you're letting this salt solution to get heated. Okay, then you record your observations. So you might be able to observe salt, that is some white color precipitate sort of a thing, remains on the lid as a white powder. Now although I have mentioned here salt remains on the lid as a white powder, for an observation you cannot specifically say what the substance is. So this is somewhat also not very much tested in y'all's level since y'all are still small. But remember, it's best to write a white colored powder remains on the lid once water is evaporated. As the conclusion, you can write salt remains on the lid as a white powder. Okay, everyone. So that's it. And if you all do not know how to write a practical, I will be making a video about it, a separate video about it in the near future. So I suggest you all, if you all are very interested in this subject, if you all want to do this subject properly, more organized manner, you can always subscribe to my channel and stay tuned so that when I post such a video, you will be one of the first people to know about it. So anyway, moving on. Now you know that there are different types of salts dissolved in water, especially when rivers, streams and waterways are flowing towards the sea. Now when this happens for a long time, let's say the rivers are flowing to the sea for quite some time, for several years, seawater becomes salty. Why? Mineral salts are dissolved in the rivers and streams and stuff. The streams flow into the sea, and sea is a huge water body, but the continuous flow of this water rich with quite a certain amount of salts will make sure that the sea also becomes salty. So when this keeps on happening for quite some time, the seawater becomes salty. And then sodium chloride is the mineral salt that is dissolved in most of the seawater. And salt is produced from seawater. And by evaporating water, that is not any water, the seawater, utilizing solar heat, you can get salt. Now as you can see on top, there is a river. The river flows to the sea, and in this river water, there are so many mineral salts dissolved in it, and as you know, it flows to the sea. Now once it flows to the sea also gets salty when this happens for quite some time. We can simply utilize this solar energy, solar heat, in order to remove water and gather salt. For an example, this is done in salters. Okay. Now, you can also understand that the juice in sugarcane contains sucrose dissolved in water. Sugar is produced by removing water in sugarcane. And a sugary solution can be extracted from coconut flour, which is known as sweet toddy. And now when you remove some amounts of water from this sweet toddy, you can get treacle. And if water is totally removed from sweet toddy, you will get jaggery. Like you can see over here that some delicious, some brownish colored block sort of thing you can see here, that is jaggery. And toddy is that thing in the pot. And at the same time, you can get this treacle and jaggery by utilizing palmyra and kithul trees also. Okay. Now we are coming to our next topic, water as a coolant. Now we all know that water can bear a huge amount of heat. So if y'all didn't know that, let me tell y'all. Now y'all know it. So it absorbs the heat and reduces the heat of objects. So water can simply absorb lots of heat, and then it can reduce the heat of the object from which it absorbed that heat. Why? Because it is a good coolant. Now let us do activity 4.3 in order to observe the coolant property of water. So simply what you're going to do is, you're going to take two thermometers, two beakers of similar size, and then you're going to put some cotton wool into the two beakers, and then you're going to put a bit of water into one beaker with cotton wool and get the temperatures. So then when you do this practical, you will be able to observe that the temperature of the thermometer in wet cotton wool is reduced compared with the one with dry cotton wool. Okay, so it's a really nice activity, and I'm pretty sure all of y'all who has two thermometers can do it. You can utilize even a wet cloth for this instead of a normal cotton wool anything, and you can utilize 2 cups of same size even. You can do this practical at the house, and yeah, it's quite easy, so try it out. Okay everyone. Now, uses of coolant property of water. Normally in this vehicle, especially these old vehicles, you have a component called the radiator. Now the function is, this radiator is filled with a coolant, normally water, and when the engine is running, huge amount of heat is released, and that heat is absorbed by this radiator. And at the same time, huge amounts of heat is generated in factory machines when you utilize them. Water is utilized to cool these things and prevent overheating. So here you saw the uses of this as a coolant. Now we are coming to our next topic, water as a medium of life. Now, as I said several times earlier, oxygen is dissolved in water. Fish utilize this oxygen to breathe. The water goes through their gills, oxygen enters their blood vessel, and that's how they respire. But just think, there's no water. Their respiratory system is not like ours. They cannot breathe directly from air. That is the reason when there is drought, fish die, because they cannot get oxygen the normal way. Okay. So over here y'all can see how the respiration occurs. So water enters the mouth of the fish whereas the gills are closed. Then the water is pushed out of the gills, whereas the oxygen is taken into their respiratory system and the carbon dioxide is put out with that water. Okay, so y'all will learn this more deeply in higher grades. So I just gave you all a small idea about this because it's really interesting. Now let's see. Y'all know that many aquatic organisms use water as their living environments. So fish, you can take tuna, and then for amphibians you get these toads. Reptiles, you have water snakes, turtles, and mammals you get dolphins, whales. So all these creatures, they are living in aquatic environments. So as you can see, there are so many organisms living in this environment. Now another special feature of water is that during winter season you all might have seen pictures like this. Their water is frozen. So now you all must understand that when water is frozen, the water remains as it is in the lower levels. Now the upper level, as you can see in one of these pictures, is completely solidified water, that is ice, whereas the lower level is just liquid where fish can live. Now you might have seen in cartoons like Tom and Jerry also, where Tom is cutting the ice and trying to fish. So in the same way, that there is some logic in that. That is really true, and that it has to do with the density. So you all will learn about that in the near future. So for the moment, remember, during winter season, ice is formed in water, and the ice floats up. It comes up and seals the water body and keeps the bottom layer as it is, where fish can live. So during winter season, some people go break the ice and they start fishing. So it's something really interesting. You all can see a photo over here. Now, you all must understand that water acts as a medium for biological activities taking place in all living beings which live in water and land. Now, digestion of food and production of energy through the reaction of glucose and oxygen and many other chemical reactions takes place in a medium of water. We must understand that thing. Then we should also know that the nutrients absorbed into the body after digestion of food are transported to our cells by dissolving in blood, and blood is rich in water. Okay? And we have a pigment which gives its reddish colored nature. So this process too takes place in the medium of water. And at the same time, minerals, medicines are transported throughout our body in a medium of water in blood. And at the same time, excretory materials like urea produced in our cells are transported to excretory organs with the help of blood. With that, we came to the end of our lesson. Now let's just summarize everything that we went through. So basically, the main function of water are, it acts as a solvent, a coolant, and a medium of life. The solvent property of water is helpful to dissolve things in water and separate things from water. Heat is generated in our body during biological processes. Heat is also generated in machines when they are operated. This heat can be removed by utilizing water because water is a good coolant. Water is the medium of life for aquatic organisms. Water is an essential medium to maintain the biological processes in all living beings. So now with that, we are approaching the end of our lesson, as I had said earlier. Now here there is the exercise in your textbook. So if you all are really interested, if you all want to know more, if you all are really interested in getting good marks or keeping up your scientific knowledge at a constant level, or if you want to increase your scientific knowledge about these lessons, I suggest you all do this exercise. And if you all want them to be corrected by me, you can simply comment the answers to the comment section, or you can join the WhatsApp group and post your answers there, or you can send it to, you can follow me on Instagram and send it to me via Instagram. The links to all those things I will be putting into the description below. So if y'all interested, y'all can always do it and simply send it. And in the near future, I'm going to include say some quizzes sort of things into the descriptions. So if you all are interested, you all can go to that video and always take a look at the description and see if I have posted a link to a quiz. So you all can simply do it and get a good experience on how to answer these things. Okay, everyone. So now with that, we officially came to the end of our lesson. So hope you all enjoyed the lesson, understood it. So if you all want more videos like this, you all can always like my video, subscribe to my channel, share this amongst your friends. And if you all have any special lesson, it doesn't have to be a grade 7 one, it can be 6 or 7 or 8, it can be any grade within that range, that is 6, 7 or 8. Even 9 is somewhat also okay, I guess. You all can drop a comment requesting that lesson and I will make a video on it. So if you all enjoyed my video, again, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon so you will not miss any of my new content. So until next time, bye.